Have you seen the? Have you seen it? All right. How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. Good morning. How are we doing? Um. Okay. So I'm gonna be looking at this particular course, PCR 115, and I want somebody to tell me in the comment section what the course title is. PCR 115. What is the course title all about? The course we are looking at this morning, that is Introduction to Conflict Resolution. Please, can you hear me? If you can hear me, let me know in the comment section, please. Introduction to Conflict Resolution. And we'll be looking at the first unit this morning, which is talking about the meaning of conflict resolution. What is conflict resolution? Okay. Now, conflict is an open clash. When there's a conflict, there's a clash. When we say clash, it means that two opposing sides are meeting. Okay. I want this and you want that. And then we are trying, there's a confrontation. Who is going to have the final say? All right. That is when we have a conflict. Now, these conflicts or clashes can be between two individuals, it can be between two groups, and can also be, you know, between two nations or two tribes or organizations. Okay. So once it happens that we both want different things, then we have conflicts. Now, conflicts often arises because of what? Incompatible views. When you have views that are not in alignment. All right. So those that are supposed to be here, you must have gotten the how do I put it? The slides, the whatever the presentation of what we are doing today. So you can just go through your material while I am discussing. We are still at the first slide where we're talking about the meaning of conflict resolution. So conflict resolution was defined to be an open clash between no sorry conflict not conflict so conflict was defined to mean an open clash between opposing groups or individuals arising from incompatible views, opinion, or access to what shared resources. So resources, when you have very limited resources like money, okay, or space, and then you have to fight for it, that can bring about conflict. Please just join us. Try to like and drop your comments. Okay. I'm going to respond to any question you have later on. Now, conflict is inevitable in every society due to different background, and interest. Okay, because of the fact that we all came from different places, or we all come from different places, and we all have different views about life, conflict is inevitable. For example, um even in marriage, okay, when you are married to, as a man, let me use myself as a man. When I get married tomorrow, I'm going to marry a woman who comes from a very different place, has a different upbringing from mine, and I might want to be like, okay, let's do this way, and she'll be like, no, 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 where I come from, we do it that way. That can cause some kind of tension until we come down to understand ourselves. So conflict is inevitable, all right? But the reason why we actually take our time to study, the reason why we take our time to, understand what conflict is all about is so that we can know how to handle it. Because conflict is not always supposed to lead to destruction, it's not supposed to lead to complete separation. Okay, it can actually make us to understand ourselves better. It can help us to understand our world better. It can help us to know those things that needs to be stopped and those that needs to be what encouraged. All right. So when you have proper understanding of how conflict work and how you can well manage it, definitely you get to make the world a better place. Okay. Conflict can be progressive when not allowed to become destructive. That's what I just explained now. When you actually have an eye, okay, to learn from those things that conflict is actually pointing you towards, definitely it will not be destructive. It is when you play blind eyes to all the different, issues that conflict is bringing to the fore. That is when it can become an issue. All right. Let me give a very good example. I come from Nigeria, okay, because this is an open um program. A lot of people are coming in that obviously I don't know if this class is actually meant, but for those of you that might not know where I come from, I'm a Nigerian, all right? Yes, you're welcome, the giants of Africa. And in Nigeria, we have a lot of tensions that is being fueled as a result of different religious ideologies, tribal differences, political views, and what have you. And most of these issues that we have, at the end of the day, they don't get to tear us apart because we understand that you know, these conflicts highlight our diversities, okay? And the main thing that we are supposed to take out of the whole chaos is how we can become united, even in the midst of the differences amongst us. Okay. So when we have that mindset that, oh, we can be different, but even in our difference, we can still coexist. Do you understand? Whatever tension, whatever issues that might be coming up as a result of, all of us not being the same, will not make us to say, oh, we don't want to, live with you anymore. We don't want to deal with this person anymore. Okay. Because of what? We understand the fact that this can actually turn out to be good. And that is what conflict resolution does. It helps us to see conflict in the light of what progression, not destruction. No, so conflict resolution is a way for two or more parties to find a peaceful solution to a disagreement. Common forms of conflict resolution includes the following. We have negotiation. Okay, what is negotiation? I wish we could speak so that I can hear from husband. Um, but we can type anyway. So we have different forms of conflict resolution. First is negotiation. So negotiation, what do? You sit down and you kind of discuss. All right. Yes. When you know what is the bone of contention, remember that one of the reasons why we have conflict is because of what? Struggle over limited resources. Okay. So let's assume that we are both fighting over land. The subject of our conflict is land. Okay, landed property. We can sit down to discuss and be like, okay, can I use this particular space for certain number of years, after which then you come in? Okay, we can discuss, okay, how let's can we share it? You take one side, I take one side. You know, that's negotiation. You try to discuss and see how both of you can, benefit from whatever it is causing the conflict. All right. Then we have mediation. Mediation. In mediation, what happens is that one person tries to come in between. All right. Yes. When we have a situation whereby two parties are fighting or having misunderstanding, or there's a conflict between two people, and a neutral person, someone that is different, okay, so someone that is different from, a different party, comes into the mix to what, to kind of settle them. All right, that is mediation. For example, now I can be having a misunderstanding with Miss Peace, okay, and then somebody, while both of us are arguing and, you know fighting over whatever it is might be the bone of contention, somebody by the side that is perhaps a mutual friend to, um excuse me please. So someone that is a mutual friend of us can come in to what, to settle the differences. The person can come in, hear from me, hear from her, and then sit both of us together, sit us down and kind of try to resolve the issue. Okay. We always have um we always have such cases whereby when two nations are having a misunderstanding, when there is a conflict between two nations, a different nation can come, perhaps a bigger nation that we both respect, okay, come in and settle whatever it is that is the problem. Okay. Then the next one is arbitration. So this is where parties agree to submit their conflict to one another, or to one or more independent third parties, rather than going to courts. So this one, they choose to settle it privately, and of course, arbitration is legally binding. Okay, so this is very very private. Okay, is, for example, when we have misunderstanding, we go to someone, that the person, that this person is called an arbitrator. You go to that person and, share your own side of the story, whatever it is that is making you not to be happy. You discuss it with this particular person or institution. All right. The same we apply it to the other party that is actually, not happy. So these third parties are the ones that will now come in to set whatever it is that is the problem. Then another way of actually, resolving conflicts is mediation arbitration. So it's kind of, when you combine the features of both mediation and arbitration, you have mediation arbitration. Okay, and of course, um, conflict resolution focuses on solving problem in the best interest of all parties while avoiding courts, um, you know, issues. So when there's a conflict, how best, because normally when it gets to the point whereby nothing can be done, both parties, none of them is going to shift ground. The last resort is to go to the court of law. Okay, and fold it through the legal processes. Okay, but you know sometimes going to court can be very very exhausting, time wasting. It can actually, cost quite a lot of money. Okay, so for that reason, people always find a way to settle their differences outside the courts. Okay, so that is what all these forms of conflict resolution tries to do, whether it is through mediation, negotiation, or arbitration. Okay, now we have dispute settlement versus conflict resolution. When there is a dispute and you're trying to settle it, it is one thing. When there is conflict and you want to resolve, Dispute and conflict is not the same thing. Dispute is still very, you just like disagreement, little disagreement, okay. But when there is a conflict, that means that that issue is on its way to become a full-blown crisis. Because when you have disputes and you don't do something about it, it might lead to conflict. And then when you have conflict and you allow it to linger, it can lead to what? Crisis, yes. And then when you have crisis and you choose not to do anything about crisis, crisis can become what? War. Yes, it can become full-fledged war, whereby lives and properties begins to suffer. So when you have a dispute, you settle it. It is different from resolving a conflict. So what is now the difference between the two? First, dispute settlement aims to end a dispute quickly and amicably. It aims to end a dispute quickly and amicably, okay? But when it comes to conflict resolution, it requires identifying casual factors behind the conflict. So when there's a dispute, you just try to is that thing, you just try to like silence it immediately. You don't want it to continue. Okay. For example, a husband and a wife can be having some sharp disagreement regarding the kind of school their children should attend. Okay. And then you come into the mix and settle you're trying to settle the disputes among them. Okay. And you be like, oh, there's really no need for this argument. Okay. Both schools are good, but I think this one is closer to the house. Why not we go for that? That is it. You're not coming back to that issue anymore. Okay. But when there is a conflict resolution, when there is a conflict resolution, what happens there is that what you take your time. Thank you. Take your time to what? You take your time um to to look at the problem. Do you understand? You take your time to look at the problem. You take your time to know who is actually at fault. Okay. And then at the end of the day, okay, at the end of the day, you will now know the right solution. Okay. So at the end of conflict resolution, one person might feel like I am the loser here. Another person might feel like I am gaining more. All right. But the thing is just so that the conflict can actually be dissolved. But when there is a dispute settlement, you are not really, you don't intend to allow the issue to continue. So you don't really care who, nobody's looking at, you're just trying to come up with something that makes everybody feel okay. I am not losing anything, and they just have to move on. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So this one is very, very quick and is amicable. Both parties will feel good. But the other one, one person might still feel I am not comfortable with this arrangement and still continue the conflict. Yes. You can make the effort to resolve conflict, and but the conflict will still even continue. There could be negotiation, even after the negotiation, we'll still be having the issue. Okay, there could be mediation. After the mediation, the prayer will still continue. There could be arbitration. Even after the arbitrators have done everything they can do, the conflict will still stay. But once there's a dispute settlement, okay, after that, everything is down. Then dispute settlement, okay, may not address underlying causes. So when there is dispute settlement, you don't want to know what caused what. I'll give you a very good example. I am doing my PhD program and I had misunderstanding with some of my colleagues when I started the program. I was very, 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 passionate about getting to start classes and all. So I kept asking, where are our professors? How do we meet them and all? People were not really responding the way I wanted to. So I took the initiative upon myself to start calling them, reaching out to them and all. So in the midst of all that, there was some kind of back and forth going on, and the matter got to the head of the department because she it was now students were now divided across different groups and everybody was fighting for different interests. So When we got to the HOD's office, the HOD was asking everybody to talk, and people were talking. Because I was just looking at them, I was not even saying anything. After everything, she was like, okay, Okadike, do you have anything to say? I was like, Ma, they have said it all. This is just a case of misunderstanding. Now, the woman did not, she just allowed people to just vent their anger and everything. She was not really interested to know what caused to what. She was not really in for that. When she had finished, she told her that this is just as Okadike said, this is a case of misunderstanding, and I don't see any issue here. Okay, you guys should just try to coexist with each other and know what you are here for. We don't want to be hearing things like she just ended the whole matter there and then, and we all moved on. That is a very good example of what dispute settlement. So there was no need for her to begin to say, "Oh, okay, I want to see the group. Let me see what they posted in the group. Let me know who offended, who look for trouble." No, she just tried to end everything amicably without going deep. But if you try to say that you should go deep and know what actually caused what, you might begin to stir up other things. So for that reason, dispute settlement does not really involve um all that. Then we have conflict resolution, which finds way to deal with the underlying sources. So in conflict resolution, you try to get to the roots. If you don't take away the root, the problem, okay, it will linger. So, and even in taking away the problem now, that doesn't mean that conflict is going to go away, because there are some people that are benefiting from that problem. Yes. For example, now if we say that the root of the problem we are having in Nigeria is corruption, and you choose to fight corruption so that we can eliminate all the crises that is arising in our country, there are people that benefit from corruption that will fight you and see that. So your conflict now will now be with those ones that are benefiting from that system that you feel is actually what not okay. Do you understand? But as far as conflict resolution is concerned, the focus and emphasis remain on the causative factor. What is that thing that is what wearing this conflict? I don't know if we understand. Please, if you understand, let me know in the comment section. Then we have dispute settlement. Dispute settlement is possible to settle. It's possible to settle a dispute without resolving the overall conflict. Yes. Remember, dispute is different from conflict. Dispute is different from conflict. We can have conflict in a situation whereby we have what they call, I don't know if you guys have heard about siblings rivalry. Okay, siblings rivalry, whereby maybe in a family, one of the child is actually beefing the other. It happens, it's not it happens a lot, but it's not common. We might not talk about it. We see that, or maybe one is doing better than the other. We see this kind of beef. Sometimes it might not be that bad blood kind of beef that may make you want to maybe take life or whatever it is, okay? But yes, we do have um siblings feud, okay? We do have siblings feuding with one another. All right, very, very important. Now, if two brothers are having misunderstanding or having issues within themselves, that is a conflict. Okay. Okay, now one of them now turn on the TV in the house, and there is an issue going on. Because of that issue, the other one came, carry his TV remote, change the station, and you are in the house with them. That issue of what station should we watch is a dispute. Okay, you can address it without going on to talk about whatever it is that is making them to hate on each other at that moment. But the issue of what TV station to watch at that moment is you can choose to address it. Okay, watching TV. You want to watch sports program. You want to watch movie. Okay, why don't you watch the sports first? Okay, see this football is live. We can watch football together now. When after the match, we can go on to watch the movie since it's already recorded. I don't know if you understand. With that, you have settled the dispute without necessarily what addressing the bigger issue, which is the word conflict. Okay, so that is very, very important for you to know. And yeah, but when it comes to conflict resolution, it is very, very analytical. You need to break everything down. Okay, break everything down. Look at it from every angle. Now, remember the reason why we are doing this is because we want to know how to better resolve conflicts. Okay, so when you are in a situation whereby there is an issue and you want to come in as a mediator, someone to bring reconciliation, you will know how to approach it. So the first thing to do is know if there is what you have at hand is a dispute or a conflict. If it's a dispute, you just try to what settle it, laugh it off, and you don't need to do any serious investigation. But when it turns out to be a conflict, you take your time. You take your time. All right. So that at the end of the day, when if one person still insists on still making issues where there should be none, then you can know how best to handle it. That is why when it comes to conflict resolution, time is being taken to look at everything strand by strand. Okay, then dispute settlement is short time, but conflict resolution is long time. So, with that, we come to the end of the unit one, which is talking about what the meaning of conflict resolution. We have seen, for those that are just joining us, that conflict actually means an open clash between opposing groups of individual, opposing groups of words, organizations. We have also seen that conflict is inevitable. We cannot do without conflict. We have to know how to live with the conflict. And we have also seen that what conflict is meant to be progressive, not destructive. When there is conflict, it's supposed to what help us get better, take us to the next level, not tear us apart. Do we have any question? If you have any question, you can ask before we move to the next topic. Any question?